So then, if Secretary Powell has maximum flexibility, what is Yasser Arafat willing to give Colin Powell upon this visit? To Washington we go tonight. My guest is Hussein Ibish. He's a member of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. Again, he's live in D.C. Good to have you on tonight. I can hear you,
Thanks,
but
Bill.
I cannot see you.
Well,
listen, we do know that Colin Powell and Yasser Arafat, great. We'll sit down with Yasser Arafat. What is the Palestinian leader willing to concede to Colin Powell in order to make this mission a success?
Well, I think it's clear that Arafat is the only person who's trying to cooperate with the United States right now. I mean, the United States demanded a restatement of what Arafat has said several times before this year, that he's against all forms of violence and condemning specific suicide bombings. He delivered that, even though he's surrounded by tanks and with a gun to his head. And I think he could have made a plausible argument that he's made these statements before. He doesn't want to do it with a gun pointed at him, but he did do it. Meanwhile, the Israelis have completely ignored President Bush's demands that they stop their incursions and their violence. Not only have they gone forward with it a week after Bush told them to stop it now, they used that week to conduct what appear to be colossal massacres and probable war crimes. We don't really know, because they prevented all journalists and humanitarian workers from reaching the region, probably because they feel that if the world saw firsthand what they've been doing, they'd be looking at a war crimes indictment at The Hague.
I want to get back to the meeting tomorrow quickly here.
Yes.
Can the Palestinians afford not to hold this meeting?
No, it's crucial for everyone. It's absolutely vital. Even in the interest of the Israelis that this happen. I think it's very important that the Secretary of State show willingness to pressure both the Israelis and the Palestinians. We haven't been willing to pressure the Israelis at all. But I think it's important that Yasser Arafat also demonstrate effectively to the Secretary of State tomorrow that the Palestinians are ready and willing for a peace, that what the Palestinians actually are looking for is for a peace process, a negotiating process that will get us out of this mess. But the key to it is that everyone agrees that it's going to be designed to end the occupation, and end it not in gradual stages like before, but bring it to a complete end. And I think that Yasser Arafat can do that, and that's his burden.
Yeah, listen, what about this condemnation? It came out today, but you know that the White House and you know the Israelis have not been content at all in the past with the public condemnations. You got one today. You had one back on December 16th from Yasser Arafat. But there's a 4-month period in there in between.
Well, there was one on March 28th, too.
Well, it wasn't directly from Yasser Arafat, Palestinian leaders, yes, but it wasn't under the terms. It wasn't stated. My question is this. If Colin Powell goes there tomorrow and says, do it every day from now on, is Yasser Arafat willing to do that?
Well, I don't know, and I think that it would be, it's kind of ridiculous to give somebody a script and tell him to say it every day. I think it's reasonable to ask the Palestinians to take as many steps as possible to prevent these suicide bombings, which are unacceptable, but it's not reasonable for them to be asked to do it at a time when their leader is encircled, surrounded by Israeli tanks, when, you know, Palestinian bodies are lying dead in the street, when most Palestinians who are involved in the Palestinian Security Force have been rounded up by Israeli troops or killed. Or, you know, I mean, this is an entire society that has just been decimated. All its government institutions, its NGOs, its hospitals, its schools, etc., lie absolutely in ruins. And turning to these people who are not only occupied but now destroyed and say, okay, now it's your responsibility and yours alone, and not offering them a political commitment that they're going to get their freedom and their independence through a negotiating process is silly. You need to do these things simultaneously. You need to have a ceasefire in place, but you must provide a political process at the same time that replaces the violence with a political process. If you just say to people, end the violence, that's not going to work, I'm sure.
I only have about 30 seconds left, and here's the point I want to get to. And the United States may be well paying for the damage in the West Bank at some point if we're able to work toward some sort of bridging between the two sides. Yeah, you have said that the 1990s peace process did not go far enough. I know it's a big question. Only 20 seconds left. How much further should it have gone to get the two sides a done deal?
What it needed to do was two things. It needed to be explicitly designed to end the occupation, and it wasn't. it was, you know, there was no agreement on both sides that this was going to bring the occupation to a complete end. A new process has to begin at the beginning with an understanding by everyone that this is going to result in an end, a complete end to the occupation. That way Israelis can have the peace and security that they want, and Palestinians can finally, at long last, live in freedom and independence in their own state. That's the only way to go forward. And I think it requires bold, courageous leadership from the United States, and I hope that we have it in us.
Yeah, leadership from both sides here in the region, too,
also
in the Middle East, on both sides, the Israelis and Palestinians. Hussein Ibish, thank you, sir. We'll talk again, okay? Appreciate your comments tonight.
It's a great pleasure, Bill. Thank you.
In a moment, we're going to, thank you very much. In a moment, we're going to get into